Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Bonnie from Family Guy. And I've done the pregnant version, so you can make it with or without this, it's up to you. We are going to be making what you see here, but I'm going to try and lengthen the dress area just a little bit. For this pattern you'll need skin tone. I've got the darker tan tone here. You'll need purple and some black, and for the eyes you can use colored beads or bands. I would suggest something lighter than black so it doesn't blend, or you can do as I'm doing and use some small white beads with the pupil drawn on using a black Sharpie. You're going to want a holding hook or two on hand and a couple of C-clips, and this is leaning towards an advanced level project, so just be ready and we're going to start. We're going to make one arm together and one leg together. This is what they're going to look like. And then I'm going to have you pause for the others. So for your arm, you're taking your skin tone on your hook and wrapping it once, twice, and 3 times. And we're going to pull this onto 10 doubled over bands. So take a single, twist it onto itself, pull it over, press it on the end, keeping a little bit of tension, and bring your wrapped band over. Replace, and we need 9 more. That's 1, 2, we want a total of 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, last one. And you can pause and make your second arm and put these onto a holding hook for now. Just going to get this onto my holding hook. And for our leg and our boot, we're keeping the leg short. We're doing a very simple boot this time. Take a single purple, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times. Pull it onto 2 purples. Don't replace yet. We're going to move this down a little bit and pinch with your less dominant hand here. Take another purple, put it on top, wrap it once, twice, and now we put the other end back. This is going to go onto 2 skin tone bands. Everything that's on your hook, slide it over, replace, and we want 3 more sets of double skin tone. 2 and 3. Make your second leg, please. Put it onto your holding hook, and we'll have just one more part here to do before we get to the loom, or get to our body, I should say. This part's going to be on the loom. We're going to make an extension for the belly. And for this we're using our purple bands. And let's just see where we're starting here. Okay, we need 3 sets of double purple bands. So I'm going to just do this from the top of the loom. Start on either side from the top with double bands, come down 3 times. In the middle row, we're going to start at the next peg down. So from the second peg to the third peg, we're going to place 2 purple bands and then come down 2 more times. Take double purple bands and come from the right downwards. That's your 4th right peg to your 5th peg in the middle. And repeat that from the left side. 4th left to the 5th middle. And just before we cap that off, let's put on our holding bands. We're using double bands again, so 2 bands, and bring that across all of your fourth pegs so it forms a triangle. Repeat it just above. And we're going to take a single, bring it across the second pegs on either side and down over the third in the middle. And this way these are effectively cinched in together. Take a single, put it over the fifth center peg, twist it one time and place it back on so that you only have 2 loops there, because we're going to be stretching it across in a bit. And we can loop this part up. So go under that fifth center peg. This is going to be loose because we only have 2 bands there, or 2 loops. You're going underneath and you're going to take the next 2 and bring them over to the left side. Go in again and get your next 2 and bring them to the right side, and then we're going to loop straight up on each of the rows. Push back your holding bands as you come to them. And on the sides, we're going to reach for the bottom 2. And we're going to push back everything else and just take those bottom 2 and come forward. Push back, come forward, and loop up one more time at the top here. Repeat that on the right side. And when we're taking this off the loom and putting it on our holding hook, what you're going to want to do is stick your hook through the top 2 on the right, and when you get the middle 2, make sure that you're staying on top of this holding band. So reach in just under that C of the peg and get your last ones. Carefully pull it off, and this is what you're going to have. This can go on the side for the moment, and we're going to start putting our body on the loom. Okay, we need skin tone to begin. We're going to take 2 skin tone bands and come from the top center to the second on the center, and then come down with double purples from the second center to the second right, second center to the second left. Place 2 more skin tone in the middle from the second to third pegs, and in the middle we're going to come down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and remember we said we were going to do a little extra, so let's go 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. This next part, this gets a little bit complicated because I have chosen to make the next pegs, the 3rd to 4th pegs, a little bit thicker. We can actually put on our next set of double bands here. I wanted the next set to be thicker so that there's more of a bosom here. If you don't want that, or you don't really care, you can just use double bands and come down all the way until you reach the 5th peg from the bottom, so just above the bottom peg that we used. If you do want that added thickness, then it gets a little bit hard here, but what we're going to do is we're going to place 1 band on either side, and we're going to do a really tight holding band across these 3 pegs, your 3rd pegs down. Again, if you don't want this, don't worry about it. You can cinch it in a little, but you don't have to. What I'm doing is I'm bringing the band across, and then I'm turning it over, and I'm getting it just as tight as I can make it go. I'm gonna get it to just barely reach all across all 3. And then I'm gonna do the same for the next set. The same for the 4th pegs. So I bring the band across all the 4th pegs down, double it over, and bring it around a 3rd time. If your band doesn't stretch that far, just do it as far as it comfortably stretches. You don't want to break the bands. Now what we're going to do is push this down, try and keep them in order, And you can decide how thick you want this section to be. I used a total of 8 bands, and that's what I'm going to do again. So because we've got the 1 on, I can put another 7. And the reason that I placed the first band on the bottom before putting on the triangle band is that if we put the triangle band on top, it's going to push this whole thing to the back so that we won't see it. This has to be our front side because this is where our belly extension will be. And if we're going to use our extra bands and get that added thickness, we want it to show up. So that's why the holding band goes further down. I'm going to put 7 bands on top here. 5, 6, and 7. This part, as I say, again, is completely optional. Now we come down on either side using double bands, and we're going to stop just above that middle peg that we used last. So it comes down 5 times. And we'll do the same on, sorry, it's kind of a faint color, it's a little hard to see. We're going to do the same on the right side. And let's do our holding bands. We're just using single triangle holding bands the rest of the way. You don't have to double them over. And the holding bands keep our 3 rows tight enough together. There are a couple of ways that you can add on the legs here. The method that I've used, I like it because the legs don't feel separate from the body, and it isn't wiggling around, but there is an extra piece that we end up having to pull to the back. So I'm going to show you 2 alternative ways first. One way that you can do the legs, you can place 2 bands down, 2 bands down, place your legs on the bottommost pegs, and do a cap band here, and then when you loom, you're going to loom up this way, and upwards. So that's one way, but it will make it look a little bit like a bathing suit, and you're going to have a little bit of a bulge here. The second thing that you can do is you can take 2 bands and pull your legs onto the 2 bands, one leg, and bring it across like so. Repeat for the other side. Put a cap band and loop up normally starting at the center. That's going to make your legs stick out a little bit. So what I'm going to do here instead, I'm just going to do a second holding band, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to put my legs on here and here. We will have a bit of looseness, but that can be hidden at the back. So the legs go on the bottom. And our arms go on the second pegs down on either side. You might want to turn it around, twist it around, play with that. So you can even put it on from upside down if you like the angle better. Or you could take it off of your hook, replace it on your hook, and then put it back from the opposite direction. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come through from the opposite side. And now when I put it on, oh, that isn't the way I want it to face. Okay, just get it to curve in as close as you can to the way that you want it to go. And try and get all of those bands on there. Transfer this back now. Okay. So we're ready to start looming up. And we're going to go up until we are 2 pegs from where the skin tone begins. So we're going to stop at we're going to be looping in the middle, and we're going to stop at your 5th peg from the top of the loom. We grab the bottom 2 and lift them up and over the next peg, and just go straight forward. we need to stop in at that 5th peg so that we can place on our extension. So we're just below the sides where we placed all those bands. You're going to grab your extension. We're placing the first 4 pegs onto your 4th peg down. Yes, it's already really thick. We're going to make it a little bit thicker here. A little bit thicker with bands. Get all of your bands on. Take your hook out carefully and press that down a little bit. Our next 4 go to the center 5th. And I want to make a note here while I've got a second. This is based in large part on looming with Cheryl's belly extension design. And that's where I discovered this technique, and it works really well. So I've adapted it for this project. Your last 4 are going on the 4th peg down on the right side. And then you're going to reach in at the bottom, and there are these 2 bands, 2 loops. We're going to come down 2 pegs. Let me just make sure that's right. No, we're going to come down 3 pegs. So get your hook under one of these loops. We're going to reach down 1 peg on the side, 2 pegs, and 3 pegs. This lands you on your 7th peg down. And the other one is going to come down to the other side, also skipping 3 pegs. And then you're going to look at the sides. These are chains here. And we want to take a piece out of each, try and get it from the bottom, and lift it over and around one of the nearby pegs. And this will help to keep it in shape. Other side, take 1 piece out of the chain. Don't worry too much if you aren't exactly sure which piece to get. Just try to get something from the lower back side if you can. And I believe that our body is all ready to loop. Let's just have one look, and this all looks good. So we're going to go under, well, let's go under the legs next. And you're going for the bottom 2 bands for each of the next 5 sets. So push back the leg, push back the bands underneath, get your bottom 2, lift them up and over. Push back your holding bands, up and over. And we're going to continue this way until we get to the pegs that have the really, really large pile of bands. And if you didn't do that, then don't worry, you can keep looping up and you're going to follow, standard procedure here. For the rest of us, what we're going to try and do is pull up our 7 bands without, and then our 8th band without lifting up that triangle holding band. So this is going to get very full on the peg above, and just keep holding it in place. Keep looking at the side, and you might have to just stretch out your bands and double check that you're getting the right ones. So this was our bottom one. And this is our triangle one. I don't want to grab those. We're looking for just the ones on top, and they're the bands that are going to feel a little bit looser here. If it's giving you a lot of resistance and it's really, really tight, then that just might be the tripled over band that we don't want to release. And make sure when all else is done that you are getting your bottommost band, because that's the one that's going to secure everything in place. And it will be really, really tight, and you still have to get under all the other bands. If you're having a terrible time, you can always undo one of these loops and have it be looser, and then secure it better when you're done, and just pull it tight at the back of the finished product. When you have that up, we can do the last 2 bands up. Do it carefully, we have a lot of tension. Having a hard time scooping them here. There we go. And loop up once to the center, coming under the skin tone and getting the 2 diagonal bands to bring to the middle. If you made it this far, you've done all the hard stuff. We have one side to go and we're almost on the body. So we're going to repeat this all for the right. We're doing our right side coming straight up, staying inside the holding bands, staying under the extension bands. The extension is the belly piece that we added. And we're at the hard part again. What I'm doing is I'm starting just with the top couple of bands, and as I whittle them down as I get through the pile here, it should be easier to see which ones are the right ones, at least in theory. And make sure that we get the bottom one, so it's pulling everything in. If you get this far or further and you see that something is loose there and it's too late to go back, just keep an eye and be ready with the holding hook to grab that loose band if you see it, so that you can secure it in before it becomes a problem. Coming in up diagonally, and then we're going to go back to that 5th peg, push back and get your bottom 2, and we're going to loop straight to the top of the loom now. Get those 2 skin tone from underneath everything else. We're going to take off the bands that are on the side, but keep a hold on your top center pegs. Very, very careful on your 3rd and 4th pegs. We have a lot of tension there. Again, please be ready. Keep your eye out if there's anything loose. This is when you want to catch it before things start unraveling. Although hopefully you've got everything as you want and we're all good. If some of the bottom center ones come off, the middle ones, it's okay. It's just the top ones that are really important to keep together. Oh, I can see here I missed a band. We're gonna go in through the top center skin tone and pop the rest off the loom carefully. Alright, you can put this on a holding hook if you want, or leave it. You can see this is the loose band I was talking about. And I'm gonna take my hook and just pull this under a nearby band. So I go under a band and I'm going to catch it and pull it through. Take another one, catch it, oops, and pull it through. And stick that onto a C-clip. And then that's all taken care of. Alright, so here's our body. Press forward the chest part if you feel it's held back. If you want to tighten that, what you can do is you can go through the back in a couple of places, bring the band through and pull it tight. Okay, let's start on our head and our face. And we want to use 3 black bands for the first couple of sections to make this a little bit thicker. But you can use 2 if that's your preference. I'm using 3 bands coming down from the top center to the top right. I'm repeating that to the left. And we'll come down once on each row with 3 black bands. And then once more on either side from the 2nd to 3rd pegs. Get your skin tone ready again. We're coming down with double bands 3 times in the center, 2nd to 3rd peg, 3rd to 4th peg, and 4th to 5th peg. And then on either side we come down once with double bands. And the last time is going to be from the side right pegs to the center 5th. Or the side 4th pegs to the center 5th. I'm looking at the right side. I'm thinking right side here. There we go. We are just using single holding bands, but if you want the face to be tighter, you can double your bands over. I'm using singles, stretching them across. I'm just using skin tone for all of these. Oh, my top one I'm gonna make black actually. For the eyes, I told you I'm using a couple of small beads. If you're using bands, you'll want to wrap your bands each onto the hook 3 times and then pop them onto a skin tone. If you have beads that have a larger hole, you could pop them onto your hook and slide both onto a single skin tone. If you have beads with a smaller hole, you can use Kate Schultz's technique here and put a thin wire, a needle, or a piece of dental floss through both beads. Run it through your skin tone band. Bring the floss over the band and thread it back through the beads. This takes a little bit of practice. If any of you saw my most recent video, it can take a bit of time even if you have done this a number of times before. Once you have it through, it's gone through all, we slide the beads onto the band, and we're going to place this on our second peg, our third peg down on either side. Get your hook in between in the middle, and you're going to separate the band and put it over on top. This keeps them from wiggling around too very much. This is going to go onto the third peg down in the middle. And there we go. For our hair chains, I'm using black bands, and we have 1 chain for either side. Start with a single, wrap it 2 or 3 times, pull it onto 2 bands, and onto another 3 sets of 2 bands for a total of 4 sets of doubles. Okay, like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is going to go on to your third peg down. We'll make one for the other side. Single wrapped twice, hold on to 4 sets of doubles. Onto the third peg down. We're going to grab a piece out of the next chain and pull it onto the peg below. From here we just need to put our body onto the 5th peg down in the middle, and we can start to loop. So let's go under that neck piece. You're getting the next 2 skin tone bands and bring them over to the left side. Press that onto the peg. Repeat for the right side and loop up the center. We're going to go up 3 times and just go right over the eyes there. 2, press back, and 3. On our side, we're going to pull the top black bands, which are our hair extension. Take it off. And you're going to get your next 2 skin tone and bring them up and onto that peg, and then put your black bands back. And this way the skin isn't going to show through the hair as much. And loop up to the top on the side. Loop up to the center. I'm going to loop up the center one more time here now. And we're going to repeat this all on the right side. Take your hair off. Bring up your 2 skin tone bands. You can put these on a holding hook if you're having a hard time. Replace your black bands and continue to loop up to the top. And into the middle. Now you're going to take a single black band. You're going to take your hook, point the open part away from you, and bring it through all of the bands in your top center peg. Grab your band and keep a little bit of tension and pull it up and through. Put both sides on and bring one over the other to create a slip knot. You're going to hold on to this or put it onto a C-clip, and then we can take the rest of the head and the body off of the loom. We're almost done. We just have a couple of adjustments to make here, or to have a look at. Alright, you're going to pop your eyes through and hide your securing band in the back, along with any loose bands you might find. To hide it, we take our hook and go under one or more nearby bands and bring our securing band under. And you can do this a couple of times if you want, just until it's nice and snug. It goes onto a C-clip. The C-clip I'm going to pop under another nearby band. Now it won't flail around, and we're all set there. If you want the hair to sit closer to the body, you can put your hook through the hair and the skin and run another band back through. I'll just show you what I mean here. I'm just going to take a black one, run it through the neck or the body, wherever you'd like it to sit, and through the hair. This is the back you're looking at. You put one end over the other and pull it into a knot, and that will get it to sit closer, but this isn't necessary. And for your eyes, once they're popped through, you can take your black marker, if you have used white beads, and draw on your pupil. You can do a little pupil or a bigger pupil. You can draw a line for the eyelid if you want. And there is your Bonnie. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you'll check out some of my other Family Guy and Rainbow Loom tutorials. Thanks for watching.